The silence they laughed at became the thunder that's now shaking their world. They thought you were nothing more than static. Now they realize you were the frequency that breaks their illusions. They mocked you with smirks they no longer wear. They laughed with mouths that are now shut tight in shame. The same ones who once called you delusional are choking on their own arrogance because the truth you spoke in whispers has now grown teeth, and it's biting through their facades. They weren't just wrong about you. They bet against the universe's move, and now the karma they never believed in is cashing in, loud and unapologetic. Before we go any further, Chosen One, do your part. Like and subscribe to help spread this message. When you hit that like, drop a comment, or share this video, you're not just engaging with a screen, you're sending a signal through the algorithm that this isn't just content, it's a movement. You're helping this truth reach other warriors who've been doubted, dismissed, and disrespected. Drop 777 in the comments if your truth is finally starting to break through the noise. Let's lift this higher, together. Now let's talk. Let's talk about what it really means to be chosen, because that's not some sweet-sounding title people hand you with applause. No, it's something the universe embeds in your bones, and it doesn't come with flowers. It comes with fire. It comes with rejection, misunderstanding, isolation so cold it feels like exile. And you endured all of it, not because you were weak, but because your truth was too sharp for dull minds. Your light was too bright for fake ones. You weren't overlooked because you had nothing to offer. You were overlooked because what you carried would expose everything they built on lies. The power of being chosen doesn't shout, it haunts. It lingers in the minds of the people who tried to erase you. It whispers in their quiet moments, reminds them in their dreams, and stings every time they see you rising in places they swore you'd never reach. That's what haunts them now. Not just that you made it, but that you made it without needing them. You didn't change your message to fit their box. You didn't soften your truth to make them comfortable. You stayed solid. And now, their entire game, the fake hierarchy, the forced narratives, the masks they wore to hide their insecurity, it's all crumbling under the weight of your authenticity. You were never here to fit in. You were here to shake the structure. They didn't understand that. They thought your silence meant weakness, not realizing it was precision. You weren't absent. You were preparing. You weren't invisible. You were protected. And now the very thing they ignored has become the truth they can't run from. You are the walking disruption, the silent storm, the living consequence. And the truth they once feared? It's now the truth they have to accept, because you're no longer asking to be seen. You're being seen anyway, not because they finally chose you, but because the universe never unchose you. This is the season where your truth doesn't just echo, it commands. You don't need a stage to be powerful. You are the stage. You are the shift. And for those who played with your name, underestimated your soul, and mocked your vision, their game is officially over. So tell me, Chosen One, are you ready to walk through the ashes of their game and into the fire of your own truth? If you've ever felt the sting of being doubted, if you've watched people twist your silence into weakness, then this message was carved in time just for you. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you feel the shift, if you know the tables are turning and the lies are cracking under the weight of your truth, and hit that like button, not for vanity, but to help this signal reach other warriors who are rising just like you. Because this isn't just a script, it's a reckoning. And now, let's go all the way in, step by step. Trust this. If you're truly chosen, you won't need to force yourself to stay. You'll feel the pull. Their game is done. Your truth is rising. Let's get started. Number 1. They laughed at the truth. Now it's laughing back. They mocked your vision because it wasn't theirs to understand. But now the same truth they laughed at has come back dressed in power, and it's laughing at them. They laughed when you spoke, not because you were wrong, but because their minds were too small to hold what you carried. They didn't mock your truth because it lacked value. They mocked it because it threatened the lies they were building their identity on. You offered insight, they labeled it insanity. You dropped wisdom, they acted like it was gibberish. But now those same voices are choking on the silence. The laughter has stopped, the smirks have faded, and your truth, the one they dismissed, is out in the open, glowing with undeniable weight, commanding respect they can't fake and attention they can't escape. This is the poetic justice the universe always promises. It doesn't scream in your defense. It waits until the very same ones who buried you in mockery are buried by the momentum of your breakthrough. You see, the universe doesn't retaliate with noise. It lets your rise become the echo they can't silence. Your glow becomes their regret. And now, the truth they once labeled crazy is becoming the blueprint for how they navigate their own collapsing world. They didn't just laugh at you, they laughed at the assignment, the calling, the divine frequency you were tuned into long before they even knew which way was up. You were decoding patterns they couldn't even see, speaking truths they hadn't lived enough to comprehend. And now, they're quoting you, copying you, imitating the same essence they used to ridicule. That's what happens when truth matures. It doesn't get louder, it gets heavier. It bends the room, and the weight of it, it's breaking them. Ask yourself, why did it hurt so much when they laughed? Why did their rejection feel like betrayal? Because somewhere deep inside, you knew they weren't just denying you, they were denying truth itself. And that's the deepest cut. You weren't asking for praise, you were offering alignment, but their egos were too bloated to receive what was real. So they laughed. It was easier to dismiss you than to deal with what your presence made them feel: small, fake, fragile. But now the roles have reversed. The joke is different now. They see your words showing up in articles, in conversations, in the mouths of people they respect. They hear echoes of your voice in places they thought you'd never reach. And the worst part for them, you didn't change to become acceptable. The world is finally catching up to the frequency you've always been on. That's not evolution on their part. That's exposure on yours. Let's call it what it is. Their laughter was never about truth. It was about fear. Fear that you were seeing something they couldn't control. Fear that your silence wasn't confusion, but calibration. Fear that the light in you might one day outshine the illusions they worshipped. And now that it has, they're scrambling, pretending they always believed, acting like they knew what you were carrying all along. But you remember. Oh, you remember the rooms you were laughed out of, the circles that couldn't hold you, the friends who turned strangers, the family who said you were too much, too deep, too intense. Now they listen a little longer. Now they repost your truth and hope no one remembers how they once rolled their eyes. It happened to all the greats. Nikola Tesla, a genius mocked by a world that couldn't keep up. He wasn't speaking madness. He was speaking into a future that hadn't arrived yet. And when it did, the world realized they weren't dealing with a lunatic. They were dealing with a pioneer. Or look at Kanye West, often called unstable, for saying what others were too scared to admit. But somehow, years later, the culture moves in the very direction he predicted. They laugh first because they don't understand. But they always circle back when understanding is no longer optional. Albert Einstein, Muhammad Ali, J.K. Rowling. They all wore the label of crazy, delusional, unrealistic, until the world adjusted its eyes and saw them for what they really were, chosen ones, selected not for conformity, but for disruption. And you? You are part of that lineage. Your mind doesn't work like theirs because it was never supposed to. Your path feels foreign because it was paved in dimensions they haven't walked through yet. And your truth? It's not just a message, it's a movement. But here's what hits the hardest. They know they laughed. They remember what they said. They remember how they looked at you like you were a glitch in the matrix. And now, watching you rise, walk in clarity, move in confidence, it's torment. Because your evolution is not just growth, it's a mirror. And when they see you, they don't just see success. They see everything they missed, every opportunity to align with you, every chance to understand, every moment they wasted pretending your truth wasn't real. Chosen one, hear me. You are the consequence. You don't need to flex. Your very presence now carries the weight of all the truths they ignored. Your peace screams louder than their doubt ever did. Your existence is the echo of divine correction, and the more you walk in it, the more they're forced to confront the reality they tried to hide from. So what do you do now? Do you gloat? No, that's not your energy. You don't rise to be petty. You rise because you're aligned. Let your presence continue to pierce the illusions. Let your words continue to disturb the comfortable. Let your truth continue to unravel the fake, because they may have laughed at the beginning, but at the end, they'll remember who you were when no one else saw it, and that remembrance will echo in every corner of their regret. You didn't change your truth to fit their world. You stayed true, and your truth changed the world around you. And now the laughter? It's coming from a different side of the room. Number 2, your clarity made them uncomfortable, but it also made you unstoppable. You weren't too intense, they were too shallow. Your insight wasn't too much, it was too real for fake minds. And now that the fog is lifting, they're realizing your vision wasn't extreme, it was accurate. They said you were doing too much, that you were overthinking, that you were too serious, too deep, too intense. But now the truth is crawling back to their door in the very language you once spoke. What they called overthinking was actually your intuition dissecting realities they didn't have the capacity to perceive. Your intensity, that wasn't drama, that was clarity. You weren't emotional, you were awake. And the only reason it made them uncomfortable is because it exposed just how asleep they were. Let's make this plain. Your clarity was never the problem. Their shallow understanding of truth was. Your ability to see beneath the surface, to hear the unspoken, to read energy in rooms where words were just noise, that didn't make you too much. It made you dangerous to every illusion they were trying to protect. You walked in with awareness, and they felt it like heat, like a spotlight on every lie they told themselves. And instead of honoring that gift, they tried to shame it. You see, shallow people can't survive deep waters, and when they sensed the depth in you, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, their first instinct wasn't to explore it, it was to label it. Why? Because labeling something lets them contain it. It lets them feel in control. They thought if they called you intense, they could minimize you. If they called you sensitive, they could dismiss you. But they weren't shrinking you. They were trying to avoid what you forced them to see in themselves. It's easy to laugh at someone's clarity when you're living in fog. But now the fog is lifting. Now that the smoke and mirrors are breaking down, they're realizing the words you spoke weren't too much. They were too true. The predictions you made, accurate. The warnings you gave, validated. The patterns you pointed out, playing out in real time. And now, that same clarity they once rejected is the thing they're chasing in circles, trying to reclaim. They don't want to admit it, but they feel your absence now. They feel the stillness where your voice used to cut through chaos. They remember the times you told them the truth no one else had the courage to say. They didn't listen then because your honesty made them squirm. But now they crave that same voice because they're surrounded by people who only echo what's comfortable, and comfort doesn't lead to correction. Chosen One, understand this. The universe didn't give you clarity so you could fit in. It gave you clarity so you could see beyond the game. You weren't meant to blend in with the blind. You were meant to wake up the room with your vision. And yes, it cost you. It cost you friends. It cost you peace. It cost you acceptance. But what it gave you in return was priceless. It gave you direction. And direction is everything when the world is spinning in circles. So stop questioning your gift. Stop apologizing for seeing what others miss. Stop shrinking your insight so shallow minds can feel tall. You were never supposed to stay in rooms that punished you for being perceptive. You were always meant to move through the storm like a compass, grounded, aware, and impossible to mislead. Even now, some of them are watching you from a distance, still trying to copy your language without understanding your frequency, still trying to recreate your perspective without walking your path. But clarity isn't something you mimic, it's something you earn, and you earned yours in the fire, through betrayal, through isolation, through nights where the truth kept you up while everyone else slept peacefully in ignorance. That's why your clarity hits harder. It's rooted in experience, it's carved from pain, it's forged in reality. They can try to fake it now, but it won't work. Because clarity is not in the words, it's in the energy behind them. And you, Chosen One, are radiating with a power that doesn't need to scream to be felt. You've become unstoppable, not because you were loud, but because you were right. And now, the very people who called you too much are sitting in confusion, wondering how you saw it coming when they were too busy laughing. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the discomfort of what they missed. You were never the problem. You were the proof. And now that the fog has cleared, even they can't deny it. You didn't force clarity. You became it. Number 3. They called it crazy until it started coming true. You warned them. You showed them. They laughed. But now the very world they built on lies is collapsing under truth, and they remember who said it first. They looked at you sideways when you spoke, raised eyebrows, quiet chuckles, that smug, dismissive smirk people wear when they think they're smarter than you. You said what you saw. You called out patterns before they played out. You voiced your concerns, your instincts, your warnings, and they called you crazy, dramatic, negative, doing too much. Not because what you said lacked logic, but because it threatened the comfort of their ignorance. That's the pattern. The ones who see clearly are always called irrational at first. People fear what they don't understand. They attack what they can't explain. And when someone comes along speaking truth before the crowd is ready to hear it, the easiest defense mechanism is mockery. It's easier to laugh at you than to face what your insight makes them feel, unprepared, exposed, and wrong. You weren't making predictions for attention. You weren't thinking outside the box just to be edgy. You were simply awake. While others played the game, you studied the board. While they were celebrating illusions, you were tracking the cracks beneath the surface. And because your mind moved in ways theirs didn't, they labeled you unstable. They couldn't imagine you were right. because if you were, that meant their whole world was built on denial. Now the irony is unfolding right in front of them. The very things they once said would never happen are happening. The very behaviors, trends, or people you warned them about are showing their true colors. The shifts you felt in your gut, the ones you couldn't always explain, but knew were real. They're playing out like clockwork. And now those same people are watching in silence, trying to remember exactly what it was you said, and when you said it. There's a certain stillness in this moment. The moment when the so-called delusional one turns out to be the one who saw it all coming. It's not about revenge. It's not about ego. It's about alignment. It's about the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you weren't out of touch. You were in tune. You were tapped into something deeper. Your mind wasn't chaotic. It was connected. And now, reality has caught up to what you already knew. The beautiful part is, you never needed to argue. You didn't have to fight to prove yourself. The truth has a rhythm. It might not show up on command, but it never fails to arrive. And now that it's here, they remember. They remember every time they brushed you off, every time they whispered behind your back, every time they used your name as a joke. And now, the joke is gone. What's left is recognition, quiet, humbling, undeniable. But let's talk about what that did to you, because it wasn't easy, being the one who saw what no one else would acknowledge. You questioned yourself. You wondered if maybe you really were overthinking. You sat in silence, biting your tongue, watching the world applaud ignorance while punishing insight. You felt alone in your awareness, heavy with thoughts you couldn't shake. And even though part of you wanted to believe you were wrong, some deeper part always knew you weren't. That inner conflict, it forged something powerful. It gave you a kind of strength most people never develop. The strength to hold your truth, even when no one claps for it. The strength to trust your mind when the crowd calls it madness. That's a rare kind of power. And now, as everything unfolds, that power is what sets you apart. You didn't just survive their ridicule, you rose above it. And you watched as truth did exactly what truth always does. Reveal everything. So what now? Now you walk differently. Not with arrogance, but with calm. You don't need to say, "I told you so." You don't need to remind anyone. They already remember. And deep down they know they should have listened. They should have paid attention. Because you weren't trying to be right. You were trying to be real. You weren't competing. You were clarifying. Let this be your reminder. You were never crazy. You were just early. And that's not a flaw. It's a gift. A sharp mind is often misunderstood by dull ones. A focused vision unsettles blurry perspectives. You didn't need the world to understand you when you spoke. You just needed to stay standing until the world caught up. And now that it has, you don't need their validation. You already have the one thing they can't fake, truth that came true. Number 4, you were the blueprint while they were busy copying noise. They chased trends, you chased truth. They built echo chambers, you built foundations, and now the same people who doubted you are copying you. While they were sprinting in circles trying to keep up with trends, you were still, focused, grounded, listening to something deeper than algorithms and applause. They were performing for the crowd, clapping for each other in echo chambers built from borrowed thoughts and recycled opinions. You weren't impressed. You weren't seduced by noise, because you weren't built to follow waves. You were built to create the tide. You saw the difference early. They did what was popular. You did what was necessary. They wanted quick reactions. You were building long-term results. You moved slower because you moved with intention. They thought that made you irrelevant. But the truth, you were designing the blueprint for a reality they couldn't even see yet. And now, they're copying your every move. They don't want to admit it, but their playbook has your fingerprints all over it. The language you once used, that they rolled their eyes at, it's now in their captions. The ideas you shared, that they ignored or minimized, they're now spinning them into fresh content like they thought of it first. The confidence, the style, the energy, they're studying it like it's a trend, not realizing it's something that can't be replicated, because you didn't build it from the outside in, you built it from the core out. Let's be real, they didn't see value in your originality when it was raw, when it wasn't polished or popular. They called you weird, difficult, too intense. But the truth is, they were intimidated. You weren't just different, you were unexplainable. And what people can't explain, they try to erase. So they downplayed you, avoided giving you credit, laughed behind your back. Now, they're taking notes from the very person they never wanted to acknowledge. And here's what stings them. You never begged for their attention. You never asked to be seen. You didn't scream for relevance. You stayed true, even when no one clapped. That's why your influence hits different, because it was forged in silence, not hype. You became the standard they're trying to reach, and that truth is haunting them. Because they thought they were ahead of you, but now they're realizing you were ahead of time. When they were trying to go viral, you were trying to go deep. When they were searching for likes, you were searching for meaning. They dressed up confusion and sold it as charisma, while you sat in the quiet, doing the hard work of building something real. And now, the structures they created from trends are collapsing under the pressure of your authenticity. And what's worse for them, you're not even trying. You're not scrambling to keep up. You are the current. They used to talk about you like you were delusional. Now they study you like a manual, silently, carefully, hoping no one notices where their new energy came from. But we notice, and so do they. The truth is, they never really disliked you. They feared what you represented, a reminder that substance will always outlive style, that alignment will always outlast attention, that truth isn't trendy, but it's eternal. And while they were out here changing with the wind, you were becoming the weather. They thought you were the quiet one, the outlier, the oddball. But now you're the reference point, the template, the example people use when they say, "See, this is how it's done." That's what being the blueprint means. And yes, it comes with a price. It means being copied, but rarely credited. It means being watched by people who won't clap for you, but will steal from you. It means creating things that are misunderstood at first, but essential later. That's your reality. But that's also your power. Because let's be honest, they can copy the moves, but they'll never carry the frequency. They can mimic your steps, but they'll never understand the why behind them. You weren't just creating content. You were channeling clarity. You weren't trying to be first. You were trying to be real. And now that the smoke is clearing, people can see the difference. So keep building, quietly, strategically. Let them keep borrowing your blueprint while pretending it's their idea. Because while they're focused on duplicating your last move, you've already designed what's coming next. You're not here to compete. You're here to shift the culture without ever raising your voice. They can try to recreate the aesthetic, but they'll never recreate the soul behind it. You were never part of their game. You were the architect of something they still don't fully understand. And now they're learning the hard way that it's impossible to copy something that was born from truth. Number 5. The game was rigged, but you still won. They stacked the deck, they rigged the rooms, they controlled the mic. But destiny doesn't play politics, and truth doesn't need permission to rise. Let's not pretend this was ever a fair game. From the start, the odds weren't just against you. They were designed to break you. The game was rigged. Not by accident, but with intention. They crafted the rules, picked the players, locked the doors, and whispered the instructions to each other in back rooms where you were never invited. They crowned each other, praised each other, promoted each other, and pretended it was merit. But you weren't playing their game. You were beating it from the outside. They stacked the deck, loading every hand in their favor, hoping you'd fold before the first round was even over. They gave each other shortcuts, spotlights, validation, while you had to build your own table just to have a seat. They created cliques that looked like systems, and systems that operated like cages. You weren't just excluded, you were deliberately blocked. Not because you were lacking, but because you were too much for a structure built on smoke and mirrors. They rigged the rooms, made sure you were the last to be heard, the first to be dismissed. You brought ideas that scared them because they required real thinking, real work, real accountability. So they said you weren't ready, said you weren't polished, said your voice was difficult, unrefined, unfit. But the truth is, they didn't want someone like you at the table, someone whose presence alone would expose how shallow the room really was. And the mic? Oh, they controlled it. They decided who got to speak, who got to shine, who got the story told their way. They used gatekeepers like filters, only letting through what kept them comfortable. Every time you raised your hand, they turned down the volume. Every time you stepped up, they moved the spotlight. They made sure you were unheard, unseen, unrecognized. But what they didn't realize was, you didn't need their mic to be heard, because destiny doesn't ask for permission. Truth doesn't need a stage to be powerful, it just needs time. And time, Chosen One, has now caught up with you. Despite all the blocks, despite all the manipulation, despite every invisible wall they built in front of your progress, you still won. Not because you played their game better than them, but because you refused to play it at all. You stayed grounded in who you were. You moved with purpose, even when no one clapped. You walked through rooms that tried to dim you, and you didn't shrink. You learned to speak without a mic, shine without a spotlight, and build without approval. That's what scares them now. Because everything they tried to stop, it's blooming in spite of them. You're showing up in spaces they thought were locked to you forever. You're creating waves without asking for entry. And the system they tried so hard to rig against you, it's breaking, not because you forced it, but because truth has a weight they can't deny anymore. And the beauty of it all? You never had to lower yourself to win. You didn't have to play dirty. You didn't have to compromise your core values. You didn't sell out. You didn't beg. You simply endured, and in that endurance, you built something they couldn't see coming: momentum. Authentic, unstoppable, divine momentum. Now they're watching in silence. They can't understand how you kept going, how you kept rising, but deep down, they know it wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it was alignment. It was truth, finally doing what it always does. Rise to the surface, no matter how deep they tried to bury it. You didn't beat them at their game. You outlasted the illusion. And now, without needing their mic, their platform, their approval, you've become the message, the standard, the example, and the same ones who once played puppet master. They're standing in the ruins of a system that couldn't contain you. So let them whisper, let them scramble, let them try to rewrite the story. The truth is, They never stood a chance. Not against someone chosen, not against someone real. Because when the game is rigged and you still win, that's not luck, that's legacy. Number 6, they tried to mute you, but you became the frequency. They didn't just ignore you, they tried to erase you, but your truth isn't a trend, it's a vibration. And now, that frequency is echoing louder than their lies ever could. They didn't just want you quiet, they wanted you gone, not physically, but energetically. They didn't want your voice in the room, your ideas in the mix, your name in the conversation. Why? Because your truth was too disruptive. It cut too sharp. It made people feel things they weren't ready to feel, made them question things they were desperate to believe. So they did what the insecure always do when faced with something real. They tried to erase it. They didn't argue. They didn't confront you directly. No, that would have required courage. Instead, they used silence, omission, subtle exclusion, passive aggression. They made sure you were left out of the projects, left out of the praise, left out of the story. They hoped if they ignored you long enough, you'd go quiet, that you'd doubt yourself, that you'd disappear into the background, convinced your voice didn't matter. But here's what they never understood. You were never trying to go viral. You were becoming vibrational. They thought muting you would stop you. But what they didn't know is that truth doesn't need volume to move. It just needs resonance. And your truth? It wasn't for applause. It wasn't for trends. It wasn't designed for the temporary. Your truth was built in silence, shaped in shadows, and encoded with the kind of energy that doesn't need a platform to spread. It becomes the platform. While they were busy chasing attention, you were becoming alignment. While they were making noise, you were becoming the signal. You didn't scream. You didn't beg to be heard. You let the frequency of your truth do what it was always going to do. Echo. Quietly at first, unnoticed, subtle. But over time, it started showing up everywhere. In conversations, in content, in culture, in the choices people started making without even realizing they were being guided by something deeper, something you sparked. And now, that frequency is louder than ever. Not in volume, but in impact. Your energy is speaking in rooms you've never entered. Your words are circulating through mouths that once pretended not to hear them. The very people who tried to erase you are now unconsciously repeating the rhythm you introduced. That's the thing about truth. It multiplies when it's real. You can't cage it. You can't kill it. You can't bury it without it growing roots and coming back stronger. They thought silence meant defeat. But your silence was strategy. You weren't broken. You were being tuned, refined, aligned. And now that you've stepped fully into your frequency, you've become undeniable. Not because you're louder, but because you've become impossible to ignore. See, they thought influence came from speaking the most. But real impact, it comes from being felt. And when someone like you carries truth, raw, unpolished, unwavering truth, it doesn't matter how many times they try to mute you. You become the thing they feel in their bones, the shift they can't explain, the pull they can't resist. You become the static in their comfort, the disruption in their narrative, the signal they can't turn off, no matter how hard they try. And now the tables have turned. Now they're the ones staying quiet, watching, studying, remembering every time they tried to erase you. Every time they excluded you, every time they dismissed your voice like it didn't matter. And yet, here you are, still rising, still resonating, still shifting the atmosphere without even raising your voice. Because when you move with truth, you don't need permission. You don't need a stage. You don't need validation from systems built on ego. You become the vibration that makes those systems tremble. That's what you are now, not just a voice, but a frequency. And frequencies don't ask to be heard. They just are. They penetrate, they spread, they shake things loose, and they last longer than any trend, platform, or gatekeeper ever could. So don't shrink, Chosen One. Don't quiet your power just because they're finally starting to feel it. Let your presence remain sharp. Let your truth continue to pulse through the spaces they once tried to block you from. Because the louder your silence becomes, the more they realize. You weren't just someone trying to be heard. You became the echo they can't outrun, and now they're tuned in to you. Number 7. Their empire was built on image. Yours was built on integrity. They got applause for pretending. You got silence for being real. But while they were building thrones on likes, you were building legacy. And now, their empire is crumbling, and yours is rising without effort. They had the image, they had the look, they had the applause, the attention, the endless stream of approval that came not from truth, but from performance. They were masters of presentation, always saying the right thing, posting the right caption, wearing the right mask. They knew how to feed the algorithm, how to trick the room into believing they had it all figured out. But now, the lights are fading, the smoke is clearing, and the truth is catching up. Their empire was built on perception, yours was built on principle. They created thrones from clout. You built yours from character. They faked their way to the spotlight. You walked quietly in your lane, steady and solid, even when no one noticed. They relied on filters and facades. You relied on truth. And for the longest time, it looked like they were ahead. While they were being celebrated, you were being questioned. While they were being promoted, you were being overlooked. But you didn't bend. You didn't sell your soul for attention. You didn't trade integrity for influence. You stayed rooted in who you really are, and now the difference is becoming crystal clear. Because here's the truth no one talks about. When your empire is built on illusion, it eventually collapses under the weight of its own lies. And that's exactly what's happening now. Their game worked for a while, until it didn't. Until the truth became unavoidable. Until people started to see through the script, the staged vulnerability, the calculated chaos. What once looked like power now looks like desperation. What once seemed flawless now reeks of insecurity. And you didn't even have to lift a finger. While they were chasing applause, you were cultivating impact. While they were addicted to validation, you were developing value. They were building castles in the clouds, but you were laying bricks in silence. And now, their castles are cracking, their foundations are giving way. But yours is rising, not with noise, not with theatrics, but with quiet, undeniable authenticity. They used their image to open doors. You used your integrity to create them. They climbed fast. But fast doesn't mean stable. Fast doesn't mean deep. Fast doesn't mean earned. And now that the pressure is on, now that the spotlight is revealing what was hidden, their empire is showing what it was always built on. Nothing real. You, on the other hand, were tested in the dark. You were doubted, dismissed, misunderstood, and instead of folding, you grew. You chose depth over popularity, truth over trends, and that's why what you're building now can't be touched. Because it's not just built, it's earned. You see, popularity is loud, legacy is quiet, image is fast, integrity is eternal. They wanted to be seen. You wanted to make an impact. They focused on attention. You focused on alignment. And now, the results are undeniable. One empire is falling apart under scrutiny. The other is rising with effortless force. And what really stings them now? You're not trying. You're not campaigning for credit. You're not chasing the spotlight. You've become something they can't replicate. Someone real in a world addicted to fake. Your rise isn't a fluke. It's the result of staying true in rooms that tried to change you. It's the reward for staying honest when dishonesty was more profitable. It's the product of refusing to compromise when shortcuts were everywhere. And now, while their mask is slipping, your face is shining. They laughed when you said integrity mattered. They rolled their eyes when you said realness wins in the end. But the end has come, and the scoreboard is flashing a truth they can't ignore. They had the hype. You had the heart. They had the show. You had the soul. And now, you're rising. Not because you forced it, but because the universe recognizes what's real, and so do the people. Let their empire crumble. Let the facade fall. You never needed to fake anything to win. Because when everything is said and done, and the smoke finally clears, they'll be remembered for pretending. You'll be remembered for standing. And standing always outlasts the show. Number 8. They played you, but the universe played them. They manipulated, lied, gaslit, thought they were winning. But the universe doesn't forget energy. And now, the karma isn't subtle, it's surgical. They thought they were clever, slick, strategic. They manipulated the truth, twisted your words, gaslit you until you questioned your own worth. They smiled in your face while sharpening knives behind your back. They thought they were winning because you didn't retaliate, because you didn't scream, because you didn't expose them. But what they never realized is that silence isn't weakness, it's alignment. You see, the universe doesn't need your revenge. It keeps score in energy. And now, that balance is being restored. Not through drama, not through chaos, but through precision. The kind of karma that moves quietly, surgically, cutting through their illusions like a scalpel. Everything they did in the dark, it's circling back. The lies, the fake smiles, the manipulation. It's all unraveling. And the best part, you didn't even have to lift a finger, because while they were playing games, you were healing, rising, transforming. Now they're the ones looking over their shoulder, feeling the shift, watching the very energy they weaponized return to them, sharper, heavier, and impossible to dodge. So don't seek revenge, just keep walking in alignment, because when you're chosen, you don't need to play them back. You let the universe finish the story, and this time, the ending is already written in your favor. Number 9, the game is over, and you were always the twist in the plot. They wrote you off in chapter 1. But now you've become the plot twist that flipped the story. The game is done. The masks are off. The truth? It belongs to you, and the world is finally catching up. They thought they knew your story, categorized you early, dismissed you before you ever had a chance to speak your full truth. To them, you were just a side character, background noise in a story they believed they were writing. But what they never saw coming was you. You weren't the extra. You were the plot twist, the unexpected shift in the narrative that flipped everything on its head. You didn't need a dramatic entrance. Your quiet rise was the build-up. And now that you've stepped into your truth, the story doesn't just continue, it corrects. The game, over. The illusions, shattered. The masks they wore for so long are slipping, and the audience is starting